I created 3 files. The first one is written in Bash, the second one is written in Lua, and the third one is holding my key. This line starts with she, bang, and then an indication for the operating system that I'm using, Bash interpreter. And then I use 2 functions. The first one is checking if the key is not returned as null or empty, and the second one is to turn on or off my LIFX neon lights. So again, if the key is empty, then just echo this error. The key value is empty, this is what you can do, and aborting the script. As a developer, I would like to see more information telling me what happened and then narrow down the investigation. I created a new variable called key, and it's getting its value from the mykeys file, which is here. And all it does is taking the second argument after the equal sign. So the command to do it is cat, show me what's inside my keys, then grab or take the line with the LIFX office, which is the first line and the only line in this case, but in the future there can be other keys. And then cut with the delimiter equals, and now I have 2 strings, one on the left and one on the right, and give me the second one, which is again the second part, the right part after the equal sign. And then I'm cutting completely or removing the equal sign and the part on the left. The next line is calling the method isKeyValid, which is checking if the key was returned as empty or null. I'm planning to upload it on GitHub as a public repository, and if anyone will use it and call their key not LIFX office but LIFX office 2, then suddenly it won't work, and then the person will not understand why it's not working, so at least he will get some hopefully useful information telling him check if cat has the right path, and then he's checking, oh, did I place the file under the documents mykeys directory, and if not, then I need to change it, and if yes, then let's see, I have another suggestion telling me if grep returns key. Okay, I want to grep LIFX office 2, but in my keys file I don't have LIFX office 2, I just have LIFX office, and this is why it's not working. I need to remove this 2 and then everything should work again. Then the next line is another variable and another command. This one I'm calling the LIFX API and using jQuery I'm taking the line with the argument power, and again I'm trimming it with the delimiter, which is those quotes. Basically the line returns power on or power off, and I don't want the word power, I just want on and without the quotes. By the way, if I'm not familiar with any of the commands, I always do the following: manual tr, for example, and then it explains about what is tr. And I don't know what is JQ, so manual JQ, or I can Google it, but at this point of time I like to try and find the answer on my own. Closing this window or this pane, getting back to the code. I commented this line and I will show you why in a few moments. Then I'm checking if the result that was returned from the API is on. I want to do exactly the opposite. I want to set it as off, because if it's on, I want to turn my lights off, and if it's off, I want to turn them on. Otherwise, maybe some other value was returned, maybe the API was changed, something happened, and in this case I also will not print oops, something went wrong, but instead I will print check power value and modify code if it's required, and then aborting again, exit 1, because I don't want to continue the program. This line executes, or this part executes only if power is on or off, and I decided to add this comment. And the reason why I wanted to add this comment is that hopefully no one will want to remove the exit 1 from line 31, or I can explicitly write here, don't remove this line. But there are many options. I can take this entire part and place it here. Only if it's on or off, then execute this command, but then the code will look a little bit weird because then I need another if, and anyhow, I decided to put it here. And this is doing almost the same as I did when I set the light power status variable here. And the difference between this one and the last one is that this one is calling lights all, and the other one is using state. And this one is setting the light to be on or off. And just as a demonstration, all I need to do is just press space, myconfig, light switch, and I decided to map it as 1 because maybe in the future I will have more lights, maybe not, but I decided to do it this way. Then when I'm pressing 1, the lights turn off, and when I'm pressing again 1, and I decided to go with the same key instead of mapping it to 2 different key maps as on or off to avoid confusion, pressing 1 again, and the lights are on. In myconfig.lua, the first one is setting the first key map. So when I'm pressing space, then there is the myconfig. Yeah, now I see it. When I'm pressing M. This is possible through the first line. Let me close it. Yeah, I do it by mistake sometimes. I'm closing Neovim. Then it opens blank. To restore my session, instead of opening each file individually, I'm pressing space, Q, restore session. And then everything is back to normal. Okay, so this line is setting a new key map by pressing leader M, and in this case the leader for this Neovim is configured to be space. So when I'm pressing space M, I would like to have a new key map, and the description of it will be my config. Any text is possible, and then I have the silent. Silent means I don't want to see any feedback from it. The second line is doing almost the same thing, but when I'm pressing ML. When I'm pressing ML1, I want to invoke the run command function. I know that you see this error, I see it also. To remove it, I can insert local, then it's gone, but then I won't be able to show the code because it's really hard to read this way. The run command is doing the following. It's opening the light switch script, which is here, and I already went through it. And what it's doing, it's in this part, it's taking all the errors, all the output, and putting it into 1, and then I will be able to use it. This is to avoid the nil. So it's possible that this returned nothing, or the file was incorrect. It's possible that I got a null pointer exception. Something was not set correctly, something is empty, and then I added this test. If this is happening, then error. I'm displaying an error that the IO open resulted in nil. Please check. I don't know what went wrong, so here this is the oops, something went wrong error message. Else, if it wasn't returned as nil, everything is working fine. I'm creating a new variable called result, and I'm reading everything from the output. This is why I put the *A, and then I'm closing everything. It's possible also to add a third variable showing why it was closed, or the status code for the close message. I didn't add it. In this line, I'm echoing the result. I have some lines here that I commented, but it's possible to uncomment this line and comment this entire block, and still my bash file will be executed, but it's not the same result. And I will get back to it very soon. And the third file is the keys. Again, I talked about it, but I want to emphasize that the name of the key is on the left side, followed by an equal sign without any spaces, and then the value. And talking about spaces, in Bash, it's really important to put spaces on the right locations. For example, here the space is just, it's crucial. It won't work without the space. It's not working without the space at the end. When I'm assigning variables, I avoid doing any kind of space, then it's working fine. Otherwise, it's failing. And another thing, yes, in Lua, another thing that I noticed is those double curly braces are also important. It's not working without it. And the first argument or parameter in this method must be a string. So how to explain it better? For example, if I'm adding a variable here, I'll call it local some test. For example, it's always important to use meaningful name for the variables, but I will delete it in a few seconds. So this is for demonstration purposes only. The test variable will get, I don't remember, but it will be some kind of number, not true or false. And if I want to convert it to string, then I can use the toString method and it will work. But if I won't do it and somehow I will put my test here instead of the result, so instead of this, I will put test, it won't work anymore. It will fail with some error message that not very user-friendly. It took time to understand why it's failing. So only if you try, you will understand that it's failing and you will be better in what you're doing, hopefully. But unfortunately, it's taking a lot of time for this spaces, for double curly braces. It's burning a lot of time instead of focusing on the code, and yeah, unfortunate. Anyhow, now let's get back to why it's commented and why this part is also commented. Let me break the program by, I'm not changing here anything, but the first example will be going to line 7 or 7 lines up, and then to the LIFX office, going to the end and adding 2. And if I want to run it now, and I will press save, ML1, I'm getting an error message in red. This part is exactly here. And it's in red because it's an error message which I made here, error message. If I will change it from error message to normal, it will not display it in red, but instead in green. But it is an error message. Something is wrong. It's not able to grab the key. So this is the first thing I wanted to show. And the second thing I want to show is uncommenting this line. Let's say that the lights were returned as on or off in this example, but here I purposefully changing it to something else. Now I'm saving the file and I'm running it. And then expected on or off, but received something else, suggestions, check power value and modify code. This is the example that I explained, that maybe the API changed, something changed, and from some reason it's not working anymore. And this is just for demonstration. I wanted to make sure that I have a nice error message that explains what really happened. Reverting it, and now I notice that I have here double quotes. Sometimes it's required, sometimes it's not required. And the same thing in Lua, why I commented those rows. And now let me uncomment it, comment this one. For updating, it will be the same. Now if I will run it, ML1, I'm having this message on the right, on the top right, that I haven't seen before. And after some time, it can be really annoying because there is no error message. It's just indicating that this command was executed. And then I tried to silent it or suppress it. How to show it to you? Yeah, this part, or the dev null first, and then suppress all the messages. It didn't work. And then I tried to call it as asynchronous, and it didn't help. But let me show you what's happening now. Now I don't see the error message. Perfect. But if I'm breaking my code again, and turning the lights off, the lights are still on. Nothing is happening. They're not turning off, and I don't see any output. There is no error message. The reason for that, because I suppressed everything. And if you take a closer look at this too, you will see that I have it here and a few lines below. But in this line, I'm suppressing it and doing nothing with it. But few lines below, I'm suppressing it and doing something about it, because eventually I'm reading the entire output into the result variable, and then I'm doing something about it. And this is why I decided to go with this solution. Undoing the change, saving it again, and now everything works fine. In the LIFX API webpage, it will be possible to see other examples, how to turn the lights on or off, how to make it flicker, and other cool effects. And the APIs are here, or how to use the command. This is using shell script or bash. And there are other examples, PHP, Python, Go, and many others. But for example, if I'm comparing it to Java, Java has much more lines. How did I get this key? From logging in. I hope it's clear, and if not, you can try it on your own. And if you don't have LIFX lights, maybe you have some other Wi-Fi device, and then all you have to do is just go to your browser, type your Wi-Fi device API, and see how it was implemented, some examples, and try to do it on your own. This was a really fun project. Hope you try it and learn something from it. Thank you.